The more I listen to arguments on polarizing issues, the more frustrated I become by the combined effects of limitations of language and human patience. I believe that if those two things were more robust, we would have far more productive and meaningful arguments. It's clear that the human mind likes to categorize things into easily accessible files which language requires us to label for pragmatic purposes. Our brains, therefore, like to separate people into groups that it categorizes in general terms of good or bad, agree or disagree, and so forth. For all the marvel and grandeur of the human mind, it still requires a rigorously driven, abstract, self-critical mentality to be most effective. Telling our brains to doubt themselves is uncomfortable. They carry us through life based on several primary assumptions and in consideration of hundreds of thousands of smaller inferences. We assume that we're real, for example, as there isn't time in daily life to run our every action through the abstract concept or filter of our lives being a potential simulation and acting accordingly, when all the data accessible to it already functions in a way that renders that hypothesis irrelevant. When we tell ourselves to check our assumptions, our brains have to check all of them, because if it could be wrong about one, then it could be wrong at any time. This is much easier for a young person than it is for a stubborn adult mind to swallow this whole concept that we may be wrong about any given thing. Now, this brings up the difficulty of pinning down what it really means to be certain or to truly know something. For practical purposes, which I'm in favor of, we can humbly admit that we can never hold absolute certainty on even the most basic concepts, but that doesn't mean that we can't claim knowledge or general certainty of it. It only means that we have to be open-minded enough to consider evidence that contradicts current knowledge and be willing to adopt its findings as new knowledge when such opportunities present themselves. Motivation for this way of thinking is easily taken from the observable, repeated success of the realm of science, which implements that philosophy regularly. When we strike the balance of being comfortable and confident in our convictions without considering them unchallengeable or absolute, we can move forward with practical observations and discourse. When engaging dissenting people, we have to first resist the natural urge to compartmentalize them into those singular labels. He's pro-choice, therefore Democrat, therefore good, therefore not harmful, therefore worth listening to. He's pro-life, therefore Republican, therefore bad, therefore dangerous, therefore untrustworthy, therefore do not consider what he has to say, just listen well enough to attack whatever idea he presents. In scenarios like that, the stream of consciousness runs so swiftly over the banks of assumptions that it can send the entire brain over the waterfall of inaccuracy. I'd like to see people, myself included, navigate those rapids more cautiously by acknowledging that most positions are not mutually exclusive with those found in correlation with the bulk of the population who share them. Not all atheists accept evolution. Not all Republicans are religious. Not all people in favor of marijuana legalization are environmentalists. If we can keep in mind that there are people behind these positions that we're attacking and defending, and that those people hold positions to vastly different degrees for a wide variety of reasons, I believe we'll find ourselves asking each other questions and genuinely listening for the answers, rather than projecting assumptions and straw men onto our opponents and just waiting for our turn to speak. A strict criterion of mine for considering someone a close friend is a willingness to call me out when he or she disagrees with me on matters of facts or principles. A close friend of mine won't deny me the opportunity of personal growth that I enjoy when he or she corrects me or challenges me, nor is any close friend of mine too insecure to recognize my own corrections or dissent as the same kind of opportunity being extended to him or her. When I have these arguments with friends, I find myself approaching issues with far greater tact and nuance than when arguing with people I've only encountered through the arguments, a prime example being the talking head of a YouTube video, let alone the faceless dissenters peppered across a comment thread. I realize that I have more productive discourse with my friends because I recognize them as real people, to whom I'm willing to extend benefits of the doubt. I've already accepted what they have to say as being worthy of my time and consideration based on my experience with them as reasonable, mature humans. Humans composed of complex thoughts, feelings, emotions, and any variety of nuanced positions on countless matters. The value of their contributions to an argument hasn't already been relegated to some black and white far-end position on a single issue, and they tend to extend the same patience and tact to me. Hence, conversations are actually productive. I'm making a conscious effort to pull my perspective of all people with whom I engage in discourse out of that black or white and into the gray area, and I'd encourage others to join me. Maybe we'll get somewhere.